The eye. The eye is the sense organ that allows one to see. It has receptors that receive light as a stimulus from our surroundings. Light enters the cornea of the eye. Behind the cornea is a ring of muscle, the iris, which expands or contracts in response to light. The pupil changes its size to control the amount of light that enters the eye.
Lens, where the light passes through, focus or defocuses the subject. Retina. The muscle of the lens change in shape and direct light into the retina. Rods detect the presence and absence of the light. Cones detect of colors of the object you see. Optic nerve. It's connected to the brain.
The ear. The ear makes us identify sounds around us. It is the body organ that makes us hear. We hear because of the outer ear collects sound waves that travel in the air to the ear canal. The eardrum vibrates and moves the three small bones of the middle ear. From there, the sound receptors in the fluid-filled cochlea produce vibration as the sound waves travel into the inner ear. The nerve transmits the stimulus to the brain and is interpreted, then we can distinguish what we hear. The ear also helps us maintain balance.
The nose. The nose makes us smell. There are receptors in the nose that are stimulated by perfumes, coffee brew, decaying trash, burning peppers, or chicken stew. How does odor reach your nose? Or smell produced by perfume, for example, diffuses or moves in the air and once it reaches the two opening of the nose of nostrils. It stimulates the smell receptors along the nasal cavity. Stimulus is carried by the brain by the olfactory nerve and interpreted. The tongue. Taste is usually associated with smell. When you have stuffy nose, you say that the food is of bad taste. The taste receptors can detect chemicals in substances just like the smell receptors. The receptors are located in the taste buds of the tongue. There are four primary types of taste: sweet, bitter, sour, and salty. Some of combination of several primary tastes. How can we taste food? Food must first be dissolved by our saliva when we eat. This will be detected by the taste receptors and interpreted by our brain. Then we can distinguish one taste from another. The skin. The skin is all over the human body. It protects the inner part from exposure to harmful substances and even germs. The skin enables us to detect sensation, temperature, pressure, and pain. There are receptors in the skin that detect stimuli. For example, when you are wanted, you feel pain because the pain receptors react to the injury, and feeling the pain will tell us that something has to be done with the want. Hot and cold air or water can be detected by temperature receptors.
The human brain. The brain is located in the head of our body. The head is covered by hair and the brain is protected by the skull. The brain is the control center of the vital activities for survival, including responses to stimuli, emotions, learning abilities, and talents. The brain is divided into three parts: the cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. The cerebrum is the largest part and has the brain centers that control thought processes, speech, motor, touch, pressure, smell, hearing, vision, and facial recognition. Generally, the right half of the cerebrum controls the left side of the body, while the left side of the cerebrum controls the right side of the body. The second largest part of the brain, the cerebellum, controls muscle coordination, balance, and normal body posture. When mountain climbing, the cerebellum receives signals that are transmitted to the cerebrum and direct movements of the arms, hands, legs, and other parts of the body. The brainstem connects the brain to the spinal cord. It has several parts: the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain contains release stations of neurons and reflex centers for involuntary actions. The hypothalamus in the midbrain maintains internal balance such as water and blood pressure. The pons connects the two halves and the cerebellum and links the cerebral cortex to the medulla. Functions like heartbeat, breathing, and sneezing are regulated by the medulla. We can keep our brain healthy by eating balanced diet and avoiding concussions from fall or blow in the head. A blood clot or narrowing of blood vessels may result in stroke. Brain parts may be damaged, resulting in Alzheimer's disease with symptoms like losing memory.
The heart. The heart is located at the center of the chest below the bone called sternum. Four chambers: ventricles, lower chambers; atria, upper chambers; septum, dividing the two sides left and right; valve, separates the chamber so that there will be no backflow of the blood. Lungs. The lungs are organs involved in breathing which fill most of the chest cavity. Bronchus. Connect to the trachea or windpipe, branches into each lobe of the lung inside bronchioles. Alveoli. Numerous tiny air sacs. Capillaries. Tiny blood vessels, actual exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The lungs may be affected by severe smoking and germs such as those that cause tuberculosis and pneumonia, among others. We can take care of our lungs by limiting exposure to pollutants in the air by using face masks, avoiding the area where there is smoking, and exercising regularly to allow the lungs to work efficiently.
The liver, stomach, and small intestine. The liver, stomach, and small intestine are important body organs in making food that we eat available to the different parts of the body. These organs are found in our abdominal cavity. The liver is a low, large internal body organ. Its principal function is to produce bile that is important in breaking fats into droplets. Bile is not an enzyme. From the liver, the bile is stored in the gallbladder before it is released in the small intestine. The stomach is an enlarged muscular sac with thick walls that can expand when full or contract when almost empty. Food chewed in the mouth moves through the esophagus and reaches the stomach through constriction. When chewed food enters the stomach, a valve closes to stop the backward flow of food.
The kidneys. We have a pair of kidneys located at the back of the body cavity above the hip bones. The kidneys look like a pair of bean seeds on each side of the body. Each kidney has millions of nephrons, with highly coiled tubes and capillaries that filters the blood and forms urine. Kidneys not only excrete substances in oversupply but also regulate the presence of substances in the blood. Some disorders of kidneys are formed stones or crystals of minerals that block the movement of urine. Surgical removal of kidney stones may be needed to allow the kidneys to function well. Kidney failures results from unfiltered blood which may require dialysis. Bacterial infection may result swelling of the nephrons, a condition known as nephritis.
Bones and muscles. Bones are part of our skeleton. The major bones are the skull, bone of the head and face, the backbone or the spinal column, the 12 pairs of the ribs, the hip bone and bones in our arms and legs. Muscles are either attached to the bones, skeletal muscles, found in wall of many internal organs, smooth, and muscles that makes up the heart, cardiac.
Testes or testicles. The main organ of the male reproductive system is the testes. A male has two testes or testes. At puberty, the testes produce sperm cells and the male sex hormones, testosterone and androgens. Each is made of 500 to 1,200 feet of tightly coiled tubes called seminiferous tubules. Immature sperms are produced in the seminiferous tubules. Testosterone is responsible for the development of the male secondary sex characteristics such as body hair, muscles development, and deep voice. These traits usually appear during adolescence. Scrotum. It is a muscular sac which is shorter when cold and longer when warm. It holds the testes and keeps the temperature of the testes slightly lower than that of the rest of the body. The lower temperature is needed for the production and storage of sperm. Copper gland. It is a pair of glands also known as pulvoritral gland that produce pre-ejaculatory fluid which partly composes the semen. Seminal vesicles. It is a pair of simple tubular glands located within the pelvis that secretes fluid which partly composes the semen. Prostate glands. It is muscular gland that is found just in front of the rectum and below the bladder which produces most of the fluid that makes up the semen. Semen. Fluid secreted by Cowper's gland, prostate glands, and seminal vesicles and the sperm. Epididymis. Coiled tube where sperms undergo maturation and provide storage of the sperm. Vas deferens. The tube that leads upward from each of testes into the lower part of the abdomen. The two vas deferens join of the urethra, which is the passageway for the elimination of urine and sperm that leave the male's body. Sperm. Sperm is a male reproductive cell. It fertilizes an egg cell from the female.
Ovaries. Ovaries are the main organs of the female reproductive system. The ovaries are oval and are in the lower part of the abdomen. They produce, allow for the maturation and provide storage for egg cells. Ovaries are also produce female sex hormone, estrogen, progesterone, and androgen. Estrogen are responsible for the development of female sex characteristics, such as development of breasts, rodent, pelvis, and play a large role in the menstrual cycles. Egg cell, also known as ovum. An egg cell is fertilized by a sperm to produce a fertilized egg called zygote. An egg cell dissolves in the fallopian tube after about 24 hours if not fertilized. Vagina or birth canal. It is 3 to 4 inch passageway or canal inside the female. This is a place where a sperm may be deposited by the male. It also allows passage of shed endometrium during menstrual period and the baby during the birth. It produces fluids to clean and lubricate itself and help sperm travel. The vagina opens between the legs where it is protected by folds of skin known as vulva. Cervix is a short canal that leads to the uterus. It is the bottom section of the uterus. It produces fluids to help sperm cell travel. It also produces mucus plug to keep out germs during pregnancy. Uterus, also called womb. The uterus is made up of muscular walls, a lining called endometrium, and a cervix. It houses and protects embryo, fetus, baby, and allows nutrients and waste exchange with placenta growth. Fallopian tube, also known as oviduct. A fallopian tube is a passageway that conveys the ovum to the uterus. As the ovum moves along the fallopian tube, the union of egg cell and sperm cell can happen.
The human organ system at work. The human organ system is complex. You have learned that the human body is made of trillion of cells with different sizes, shapes, and functions. Integumentary system. The integumentary system includes the skin, hair, and nails. Skeletal system. The skeletal system consists of bones, joints, and connective tissues. The skeleton provides the basic shape of the human body and support the different internal organs like the brain, which is protected by the skull. Muscular system. The muscular system enables us to move our body parts to perform various tasks. Moving our legs, arms, neck, and head requires muscle working with our bones. Circulatory system. The major parts of the circulatory system are the heart, blood, and blood vessel. White blood cells help the body fight diseases. Red blood cells are most numerous in our body and they are involved in transport of gases and waste. Platelets are involved in blood clots to stop blood flows in case of wound. Blood vessels are the arteries, capillaries, and veins.
Arteries connect to the capillaries found in different organs where exchange of gases and nutrients occur. Veins merge to become veins where blood flows to the heart. Pulmonary circulation involves the heart and the lungs. The pulmonary veins carries oxygenated blood to the heart. Systemic circulation supplies nutrients and oxygen to all body tissues at the same time collect waste materials for discharge. Nervous system. The central and peripheral nervous system comprise the human nervous system. The central nervous system includes the brain and spinal cord.